Abby helps the Doctor into the TARDIS as he limps and groans in pain. He then leans on the console and sets to take off as we hear the engines begin to sound. Abby then asks him if he's alright as she walks towards him, but the Doctor signals for her to stay where she is. He looks down at his hand on the console as it begins to glow orange and leak regeneration energy. He turns to Abby, who exclaims that he's scaring her. The Doctor tells her not to be worried as he begins to explain regeneration to her in simple terms. He asks her if she remembers him telling her that he's a Time Lord, and she nods. He explains that Time Lords, if dying, can heal themselves by regenerating their bodies. He holds up his glowing hand and tells her that the process is already starting. Abby tells him that if he can heal himself then he should do it, but she's interrupted as the Doctor reveals that there is a cost. He explains that the process causes your appearance, personality and entire structure to completely change. Every cell is reborn and the Time Lord will transform into a new body. Abby is very shocked and she doesn't have any words. The Doctor tells her to be strong and loyal, and he's sorry they've had such little time together. The glow is now encapsulating both his hands and his face as Abby takes a few steps back. He sighs and utters, "And there was so much I wanted to do," before he closes his eyes and outstretches his arms. Abby shields her eyes. The regeneration effect still consists of the massive orange eruption, but it's a lot less aggressive this time. It's less golden and more purple. Abby moves her arms down from her face to see the result of the process. The Doctor stands tall, bewildered. The regeneration has gone wrong. The 15th Doctor remains, with his appearance looking healed. He hasn't changed or even properly regenerated, it's still the same Doctor. Abby says that she thought he was going to be someone else, and the Doctor looks up at her puzzled. He states that this isn't supposed to happen, and he can feel that he hasn't finished the regeneration. He looks at his hand, it's still slightly glowing with the energy. He tells Abby that this is weird and not usually how it goes. Abby asks if he's healed, and he once again stops for thought. He tells her that he's not sure and he feels like he's both healed and not healed, and if he'd completed the regeneration, he wouldn't be still leaking energy. He walks around the console and Abby asks if there's anywhere they can go to help. After a few seconds, the Doctor tries to regenerate again, pushing his arms out to his side, yet the regeneration prevails. He is unable to properly regenerate. Confused, the Doctor jokes, "Well, that was a roller coaster." Funny. He then states that there is one place, but he'll have to go there alone. Abby is about to insist that she should go with him, but the Doctor looks at her before she talks, saying no abruptly, knowing what she's about to say. She quietly accepts that he should go on his own as he puts some coordinates into the console and pulls the lever. We cut to a dark world at night. Thunder rumbles as the TARDIS materialises on the planet Karn. The Doctor steps out and closes the door behind him as he walks forward, saying nothing, but looking disturbed and bothered. He walks for a while until he approaches a cave, walking in to see several women sitting around the room in a circle, obviously in some kind of trance. We recognise these members as the Sisterhood of Karn. He coughs and they all awake, rising to their feet and staring at him. One of them tells him that his presence on this planet is blasphemy. The Doctor ignores her and proclaims that he wants to see Ohila, if she's still alive and kicking. After a few moments of silence, another one of the sisters says they will take him to her. The Doctor follows her out of the room and we cut to a large area of the cave covered in carpets and symbols. The Doctor and the sister walk in and they see Ohila sitting cross-legged on a stone in the middle of a room. Ohila doesn't even turn around, but simply tells the sister to leave them. As the sister walks out of the cave, the Doctor looks around at the room, curious and intrigued by the decor. Ohila tells him that she knew he'd one day have a reason to come back here, and the Doctor replies that he's almost surprised that the Sisterhood are still around after all this time. Ohila turns around as she says that the Sisterhood of Karn were always able to sustain themselves without the presence of Gallifrey, but he, however, never was. She gets up off the stone as she says that the last time she saw him he was running away from the Time Lords with a little woman that should be dead, but she can tell by his eyes that time has passed since then. She then says to him that they are told that Gallifrey is in ruins. The Doctor moves on from this and tells Ohila something's wrong with his regeneration, and he died earlier, but the regeneration didn't complete properly and doesn't seem to be working. Ohila says it's always something to do with the regeneration with him and asks which body he's on now. The Doctor tells her that with a good few false starts here and there, he's really number 15, and asks why that's important. Ohila claims that since he's gone past his original cycle of 12 regenerations, it's possible that he has changed too many times that his body is starting to reject the Lindos hormone, the hormone that triggers regeneration. The Doctor rejects this suggestion and says that it's impossible as his body isn't rejecting the hormone and it's constantly releasing it. He shows her his hand as it begins to glow again before he shakes the energy away. Ohila states that this is curious and stops for thought. She looks at him and says that his body is in a constant state of grace, both dying and not dying, regenerating and not regenerating. She hasn't seen this in any other Time Lord ever, and says whatever's happening is unique and completely unnatural. The Doctor sarcastically jokes that that's reassuring, before Ohila says that they still have a collection of regeneration elixirs here on Karn, and she would be willing to offer the Doctor one to see if that results in a successful regeneration. The Doctor considers this. He tells Ohila that it could work, but it still wouldn't help them understand the actual problem with the process. It would merely give him a new face, something that he isn't quite ready for yet. She replies to him by saying that if it worked, it would take his body out of a state of grace, but the Doctor says that they don't know that, and for all they know, the elixir could make it worse. Ohila tells him that it's the only thing that she can offer him, otherwise he should leave. The Doctor looks down at the floor, almost in shame and confusion. The Doctor thought he was going to have to regenerate so early in his life. He doesn't know what's gone wrong with his regeneration, but it does mean that he can stay himself for a while. The Doctor then apologises for wasting her time and leaves the room.